What if your next garden masterpiece started with an old boot? Not from a store, not from a fancy tutorial, but from something forgotten, cracked, rusted, and real. Welcome to Modhouse DIY, where we turn everyday trash into charming garden art you'll actually want to keep. In this video, you'll discover creative ways to reuse old shoes, funnels, and random junk into planters with heart. We've included timestamps, so feel free to skip ahead or replay what inspires you most. Got a question? Drop it in the comments. Love what you see? Recreate it your way. Don't wait for perfect tools, just start with what you have. And maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story, and a real family. This isn't just a video. It's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit subscribe, you're not just helping a creator. You're helping a dream stay alive. One click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. There's something disarmingly charming about turning the ordinary upside down, especially when it grows something beautiful. In a quiet corner of a backyard, where soft gravel crunches underfoot and sunlight pours gently onto pale wooden beams, a whimsical idea has taken root. Suspended from a pergola, rows of brightly painted funnels now cradle life. Mint green, sunflower yellow, coral pink, each one is a recycled plastic funnel, repurposed with purpose and joy. Tomatoes dangle in clusters, vivid and plump, like rubies strung under the soft hush of a summer afternoon. Their vines spill upward, defying gravity, while the narrow spouts of the funnel serve as gentle conduits for excess water, ensuring the roots stay moist but never drowning. There's no cinematic gloss here, only natural beauty, real shadows, sun-warmed leaves, and a humble garden fence in the distance. In another corner of the yard, floral-painted funnels hold strawberries, ripe, red, and heart-shaped, dangling sweetly beneath green ruffles of leaves. The trellis they hang from is simple wood, aged by seasons, nestled beside stone paths and bushy lavender. It's a corner that feels alive with the quiet rhythm of growth. Butterflies pause here. Children reach for fruit with sticky fingers. Everything moves slowly, without rush. And in a tiny urban balcony somewhere else entirely, the same idea takes on a vertical life. A lattice wall becomes a canvas, and bold-colored funnels become pockets of freshness, oregano here, thyme there, and basil bursting from bright yellow. The herbs cascade downward, their scent mingling with the breeze. A bench waits patiently nearby, with gloves tossed gently across the surface and a watering can ready for another quiet tending. It's a gentle reminder that beauty doesn't need space, or even symmetry. Just intention. Just reuse. Just the willingness to see value in what others might throw away. Try it. Start with one funnel. Paint it your favorite color. Watch it grow something upside down, and feel something upright grow quietly inside you, too. begins with something forgotten, a length of pipe, dusty and idle, once part of something rigid and industrial. But in the hands of someone patient, a piece of trash becomes a soft-spoken miracle. Along the fence of a small backyard, PVC pipes have been reborn. They now cradle life: basil, chives, mint, parsley, each leaf trembling gently after a light morning rain. Painted in pastel blues and greens, the cut pipes are mounted to a crisp white picket fence, like floating troughs of edible green. The herbs spill over with abundance, and in the soft light of early day, dewdrops cling to their edges like tiny crystal lanterns. There is no clutter, no extravagance. Just freshness, color, and care. Elsewhere, a more dramatic mood takes shape. Black PVC elbows and T-joints have been assembled like a living sculpture on a wooden garden wall. In each pocket, marigolds and nasturtiums burst with warmth, orange, yellow, gold, defiant against the dark, matte plastic. It's bold, but not loud. A quiet rebellion against the idea that beauty must be expensive. And then, deep in a compact garden passage, a full symphony of salad greens thrives in rows of half-sliced white PVC piping. Mounted across reclaimed wooden pallets, the pipes form living corridors, walls that breathe. Lettuce leaves curl and shine, ready to be harvested. There is a rhythm in the shadows cast across the gravel, and a stillness that feels like intention. This isn't just gardening. It's a gesture of hope. A soft defiance. A way of saying, I see beauty where others see waste. And I will grow something from it. So if your fence feels empty, or your patio too small, find that pipe. Cut it open. Paint it your favorite shade. Fill it with soil. And let your quiet garden story begin. Not everything that's worn out has reached the end of its journey. Some stories begin again, not in closets, but in gardens. Along a quiet brick staircase, pairs of old shoes line the steps like forgotten travelers rediscovered in bloom. White canvas sneakers cradle sprigs of lavender, soft purple spires rising toward the sun. Nearby, blue trainers overflow with daisies, white petals and yellow centers dancing in the morning breeze. Every step is alive with contrast, shoes once meant for walking, now rooted with grace and stillness. It's not only the color that charms, but the sentiment. These aren't store-bought planters polished for perfection. They're lived in, scuffed, and stitched with memory. A child's old rain boot, now cracked at the sole, holds a cluster of succulents and trailing moss. Tiny roots peek through the seams as if finding new paths where toes once fit. Pink petals lie scattered at the base, suggesting a recent breeze, or perhaps a passing squirrel with a playful streak. And then there's the cottage porch, a wood-planked platform guarded not by symmetry, but by character. Rubber boots with bold pansies, black leather boots bursting with pink petunias, and even a pair of yellow Crocs that cradle basil and wild ivy. It's a mismatched choir of textures and tones, arranged without rules and blooming without apology. There's beauty in this kind of mess, the soft soil spilled onto the steps, the casual watering can left nearby, the imperfection that invites instead of intimidates. These gardens don't demand skill. Only curiosity. Only kindness. So look around your home. Somewhere, there's a pair of shoes that no longer carries you forward. But it might just hold the beginnings of something else. Something that doesn't walk anymore, but makes your garden smile. Sometimes, the most joyful parts of a garden are the ones made not from what we buy, but from what we keep, patiently, quietly, without knowing why. A bottle cap, for instance. Forgotten after a drink on a summer day. Yet here, along the edges of a tiny patio, they find their voice again, in color, in shape, in rhythm. Bright red, deep blue, lime green, soft yellow, each cap is pressed into concrete like a puzzle piece from a story too good to throw away. They form borders not just to contain soil, but to celebrate it. A warm gray path runs between them, the mosaic glinting with light from a late afternoon sun, while calendula and salvia bloom behind, dancing in the breeze like the edges of a festival. In a cozy corner, a curved planter is dressed in swirling patterns made entirely from caps, some smooth, some slightly weathered, all gleaming with intention. Pebbles and shells nestle between the designs like punctuation in a garden poem. A small gnome stands nearby as if guarding this celebration of color and reuse, his presence whimsical but oddly dignified. Elsewhere, the lines are more structured. A brick pathway flanked with low cement edging becomes a canvas for repetition, bottle caps arranged in florals, checkerboards, or quiet lines. Each morning, dew softens the gloss of plastic, making everything shimmer as if touched by unseen hands. And just behind, wildflowers bloom without structure, nature answering back with her own freestyle mosaic. This is a different kind of beauty, one that honors patience, playfulness, and the belief that nothing is too small to matter. That even a bottle cap can frame a flower. That a walkway made from trash can lead to something deeply personal. So next time you finish a drink, save the cap. You're not just recycling. You're collecting ingredients for the most unexpected kind of wonder. In the quiet corners of small patios and forgotten walkways, something remarkable is beginning to grow, not from soil alone, but from creativity. Built from tall, upright PVC pipes and gently colored funnels, this vertical hydroponic garden rises like a sculpture of function and grace. There is rhythm in its design, water trickling from top to bottom like a soft song, feeding each plant with care and efficiency. From sea green to dusty blue, each funnel holds life. Basil stretches upward with shiny leaves. Cilantro spills outward, delicate and ruffled. Pak choi stands tall and proud, its white stems crisp and full. And among them, tomatoes blush red beneath the morning sun, their clusters glowing against the gray of the pipe like rubies on stone. The funnels are not hidden, they are celebrated, proof that trash, when seen differently, becomes architecture. The system is simple, yet elegant. Funnels are nested into the pipes with precision, and every detail, from the spacing of each opening to the way water gently flows between them, feels intentional. No corner is wasted. No surface unused. Beneath the pipes, a reservoir catches the runoff. nothing is lost. And around it, a garden story unfolds. Marigolds in pots stand guard. A wooden bench invites pause. A watering can rests on gravel, as if recently set down by someone who still has soil beneath their nails. Everything here feels lived in, not showroom perfect, but tender, real, human. It is not space that makes a garden, but vision. Even in the narrowest of places, you can grow something fresh, something nourishing. All it takes is a few pieces of pipe, a handful of funnels, and the belief that beauty and purpose often begin in what others throw away. In the quiet corners of forgotten backyards, something magical often begins, not with perfect tools or fresh supplies, but with old things that once served a purpose. Here, it starts with shoes. Boots that once stepped through puddles, sneakers that chased summer afternoons, work shoes dusted with memories of seasons past, now rise in playful towers, reborn as homes for flowers and herbs. In the first scene, a low brick border becomes the stage for a vertical rainbow of children's sneakers. Yellow, red, blue, black, each pair stacked in careful balance, each toe now cradling something green or blooming. Nasturtiums peek curiously over the edges. Lobelias burst out in a tangle of blue. Painted pebbles sit at their feet like tiny garden guardians. This isn't just reuse, it's reinvention, colorful and full of joy. A simple drill hole underneath each shoe ensures drainage, while the compact layout makes it perfect for patios or small borders along a walkway. The second frame is quieter, shaded, more herbal. Boots once built for labor now host mint, oregano, and thyme, layered up in size from large rain boots to modest ankle shoes. The soil isn't pristine, some has spilled out, dotting the patio with black crumbs of effort. But that imperfection brings life. Beside a garden bench, this stack whispers rustic abundance, a reminder that even in small spaces, even with mismatched leftovers, we can grow food, fragrance, and beauty. The third image leans whimsical again, framed with gravel and ivy. Here, work boots weathered with mud and time cradle golden pansies and vines that trail like stories. The boots are old but proud. Their cracks are part of the charm. And with just a bit of rebar or metal rod inside, they stay balanced even through wind or rain. This is the quiet poetry of the DIY garden. A little humor, a lot of character, and no rules except love and care. If you have an old pair of shoes, don't throw them out. Fill them with soil, tuck in a seedling, and let them begin again, right there in the sun. There's a soft kind of magic in discovering beauty where others see waste, especially when the sun falls just right, and the discarded becomes something golden. In this quiet garden corner, plastic and glass bottles, once tossed aside, are reborn as sculptural light catchers and living privacy walls. Each bottle, carefully arranged in tidy rows or offset like bricks, becomes a prism of late afternoon light. Their shapes refract the sun's warmth into soft color gradients, greens, blues, and ambers glowing like stained glass windows made not for churches, but for backyards that bloom from nothing but love and leftover scraps. Along the narrow fence, the pattern is playful yet practical. The bottle wall serves as a windbreak and a quiet visual barrier, perfect for shielding a hammock reading nook or a morning coffee spot on the patio. What's most charming is how this wall evolves through the day. In the morning, it glimmers with dewy brightness. By dusk, it flickers gently with hidden fairy lights tucked into a few select bottles, casting a gentle glow as the sun fades. Some bottles are left whole, catching light and shadows. Others are cut open to let air and vines pass through, cleverly transformed into climbing grids for ivy or sweet pea. The bottles don't stand alone. Beneath them, planter boxes filled with calendula, sage, lavender, and ferns complete the story, plants with purpose and fragrance that soften the structure's edge. Potted succulents and herbs rest nearby, grounding the recycled installation with life and texture. This isn't just decor. It's a gentle revolution in your backyard. With little more than wire mesh, a drill, and a few evenings of patience, you can turn household trash into a tapestry of color and privacy. It's an act of care, of intention. A reminder that sustainability doesn't have to sacrifice beauty, and that even in the smallest of spaces, joy can be stitched together from what others throw away. Let your backyard wall speak with light. Let your creativity shine through cast-offs. And let your garden be a quiet testimony to the beauty of reuse. Somewhere in the forgotten corners of a backyard or the edge of a sunny patio, a gentle cascade begins its quiet rhythm. It doesn't come from a store-bought fountain, nor from a designer's sketchbook. Instead, it begins with repurposed funnels, plastic, metal, some weathered and painted, and a few lengths of humble piping. From these modest elements, a miniature waterfall is born, crafted by hand and sustained by the simplest of ideas, that beauty doesn't have to be bought, only imagined. In the first image, the story unfolds on a raised garden shelf, tucked beneath a spill of green leaves. Here, clear plastic funnels are stacked in a soft vertical rhythm, their transparency catching the sunlight as water dances down each level. A ceramic bowl cradles smooth river stones at the base, where the water gathers in quiet conversation. This tabletop version is perfect for apartment gardeners or tiny balcony nooks, requiring only a small pump, a few fittings, and the patience to bring stillness into motion. Surrounding it, creeping thyme and baby's tears drape over the ledge, giving life and scent to the scene. It feels like a breath of calm in a noisy world. Shift to the second image, and the scale grows. Against the weathered grain of a garden fence, metal funnels and thick galvanized pipes form a bolder version of the idea. This standing structure isn't hidden, it's celebrated. Water spills confidently from one level to the next, catching light with every drop. A solar pump keeps it going quietly beneath the midday sun. Ferns curl upward from the base, while a tangle of vines frames the whole sculpture, making it feel like a relic from a secret garden. It's a reminder that even utilitarian pieces, tools once used to pour oil or grains, can be reborn as something that soothes the soul. And then, in the third scene, the color returns. A tower of pastel-painted funnels, chipped and charming, sends a stream of water tumbling playfully in a small garden bed. Bright reds, mellow yellows, faded blues, it's cheerful, almost childlike in its joy. Pebbles scatter around the base, and the moss below catches droplets like tiny stars. It's the kind of feature a child might build with a parent on a weekend afternoon, imperfect, whimsical, and full of character. This isn't just a project. It's a practice in looking closer, reimagining what we throw away, and listening to the poetry of running water in the smallest of spaces. You don't need a big yard, a big budget, or big skills, just funnels, a bit of piping, and the belief that even trash can sing, if given the chance. There's a certain quiet magic that appears in gardens after sundown, when the air softens, the flowers still themselves, and even the light takes on a slower rhythm. In this little corner of the backyard, something unexpected begins to glow. Not from bulbs or wires, but from old plastic bottles, gently repurposed to form a luminous path that meanders through the dark like a river of soft green and blue light. Each bottle here once held soda or water. Now, they've been cut, painted with glow-in-the-dark pigments, and anchored halfway into the gravel. Their tops are sealed with solar lids or corked in clever ways, and some are filled with marbles or glow pebbles that catch and scatter light like quiet fireflies in a jar. A few of them flicker with tiny LEDs, giving a bit more brightness for those who walk the path at twilight. There's nothing complicated about the materials, just plastic, paint, and a bit of patience. The real secret is in how they're arranged. Some bottle borders trace the edge of flower beds, like those dotted with marigolds and thyme. Others, painted in galactic swirls of violet and turquoise, mark stepping stones that guide your way to a small patio. In one spot, a pair of worn gardening shoes sit at the edge, a gentle reminder that someone was here recently, planting, tending, dreaming. If you ever thought trash had no place in a beautiful garden, think again. These glowing bottles don't just light the way, they speak of creativity born from constraint, of joy sparked from something forgotten. And perhaps most beautifully, they invite you to slow down, to walk barefoot along the gravel, and to see that even the smallest, simplest light can soften the night. So the next time you finish a drink, don't throw the bottle away. Set it aside, paint it with care, and wait for evening. Your garden might just glow with a magic all your own. There's something tenderly rebellious about saving what others discard, and turning it into something alive. In this garden story, worn-out soles once made for walking now cradle delicate, living things. Lined along a soft cream wooden wall, these old shoes, cracked leather boots, sun-bleached canvas sneakers, and even forgotten clogs, have been given a quiet second life. Their laces may be frayed, but they bloom again, not with movement, but with lush, sculptural succulence curling from within. From every corner, bright little pipes, painted coral red, bluebird sky, and soft pea green, jut playfully outward, tucked between the shoes like pops of joy. They catch the sunlight with a glossy gleam, contrasting the matte roughness of the shoes. This clever use of contrast, the soft against the bold, the old against the bright, makes this wall feel like a living collage. There is no symmetry here, only rhythm. Each container cradles a different shade of nature's palette: jade rosettes, blush-tipped echeveria, strings of pearly green spilling like jewelry from a drawer. It's not just a vertical garden. It's a vertical memory wall, of places walked, trails crossed, rain soaked, and now, gardens grown. For anyone watching, the message is simple and warm: don't throw it away. Reinvent it. A mismatched shoe, a short length of pipe, a bit of old fencing, all become a tiny gallery for life to thrive. Water sparingly, give them light, and let them remind you that the most ordinary things can carry the most unexpected beauty. This kind of DIY isn't about perfection, it's about intention. And in that, it becomes art. Quiet, joyful, and deeply human. There's something deeply satisfying about standing barefoot on your patio, snipping a few leaves of fresh basil, and knowing you grew it yourself, from scratch, from scraps. In the gentle hum of a quiet morning, a herb tower fashioned entirely from plastic bottles rises like a small monument to patience and practicality. Each tier tells a story, of old bottles saved from the bin, rinsed, trimmed, and painted in warm, comforting tones. Terracotta, olive, and sun-washed beige spiral upward around a single wooden spine, like nature climbing toward the light. The air is fragrant, basil and oregano mixing with mint and chives, stirred by the brush of a morning breeze. Bees hover lazily in the dappled sun, drawn by the tiny blooms nestled in the bottle pockets. Some leaves still glisten with dew. This isn't just a garden, it's a small, vertical orchestra of greens humming against the rhythm of everyday life. And it's all happening in one corner of a modest patio. What's beautiful here isn't just the upcycled design, but the thought that someone looked at an empty soda bottle and saw not trash, but potential. With a little effort and imagination, those bottles became homes for herbs, suspended like little green hammocks from bamboo frames or threaded around a metal pole. Each slice and notch in the plastic made with purpose, angled for sun, sized for roots, spaced for airflow. And there it stands, not requiring acres of land, just a patch of morning sun and a curious pair of hands. Beside the tower, a notebook rests open, maybe filled with garden sketches, maybe notes on recipes the herbs have inspired. Scissors lie beside the pot like a painter's brush, evidence of use, of care. This tiny setup invites us to rethink what gardens can be, not sprawling, but smart. Not expensive, but intentional. You don't need more space. You need to see your space differently. And perhaps that's what these humble bottles teach us best. Not just how to grow parsley or lemon balm, but how to grow possibility from what we have. quiet garden corner where time slows down, a gentle tinkle drifts through the air, neither loud nor showy, but the kind that makes you look up and smile without realizing it. Suspended from warm wooden beams, a line of chimes fashioned from forgotten things sways in soft conversation with the wind. Once tossed aside, plastic bottles now bloom like translucent garden bells, their tops cut into scalloped petals and brushed with delicate pastels. The funnel bases, salvaged and softened by weather and wear, create the lower notes, clinking not with clarity, but with charm. Some wear beads, others dangle tiny vintage keys, whispering stories as they dance in the breeze. These are not just decorations, they are the sounds of second chances. If you ever thought junk was just junk, step under this pergola. Here, bottle windbells glow with filtered sunlight, casting shadows that flutter like wings over a teapot resting on a garden table. Lavender and petunias bloom nearby, fragrant and forgiving, while an old straw hat waits patiently for its wearer to return. This idea isn't about crafting perfection. It's about discovering peace in imperfection. Try this with your own scrap materials, painted bottles, spare funnels, leftover beads, and let each chime reflect your garden's voice. Hang them from gazebos, porches, or even over a favorite bench where you like to think and breathe. Because beauty doesn't come from what something was, but what you let it become. Let your backyard speak softly, with color, sound, and a story made entirely by your hands. There's something gentle about how the ocean finds its way into a garden, not with salt and spray, but with fragments of light, color, and imagination. Here, nestled between potted geraniums and soft-blooming succulents, lives a seascape that tells its story without a single word spoken. Each curve of wave, formed by the softened arc of blue bottle plastic, flows as if stirred by a soft wind. Flattened and arranged in rhythm, they shimmer under daylight like the sea under a sleepy sky. This isn't glass from a high-end store, it's waste, reborn. Old bottles, once discarded, now bend and shine as if they were always meant to be part of something poetic. And then come the metal funnels, common tools from forgotten sheds, now transformed into playful fish, silver boats, or perhaps shells catching light. Painted softly in whites and metallics, they catch your eye without shouting, anchoring the floating scene with structure and charm. The surrounding details are equally thoughtful. Rope and mesh netting add the feeling of marine texture. Tiny shells, sea glass, and round stones scatter along the shore of the panel's base, grounding it in the real-world textures of coastal walkways. A simple gray fence becomes a gallery wall. The garden becomes a place where imagination moors. This project isn't difficult, it's delightfully within reach. Scour your home or local recycling for bottle caps, translucent containers, old kitchenware. Sketch your own tide and shape it slowly. There's no need for precision, there's only a need for presence. Let your hands work with what's around you, and see what beauty rises. Because in this quiet corner of your yard or patio, art doesn't need to be expensive, and the ocean doesn't need to roar. It just needs a little sunlight, a few forgotten things, and your willingness to dream in blue. Some gardens don't grow only vegetables or flowers, they grow wonder. This one begins at the edge, where fences aren't built to keep things out, but to invite imagination in. Here, bright plastic bottles, once forgotten in recycling bins, have found a second life as cheerful garden borders. Their tops are melted, curled, or cut into rounded petals, and then painted in soft pastels or vibrant rainbow tones. Each one becomes a storybook gate, shaped not by machines, but by hand and patience. Look closely, and you'll see tiny details drawn in permanent ink: stars, vines, spirals, symbols of play and nature's quiet magic. Within the circle, thyme and lavender stretch upward as if enchanted, while marigolds offer bursts of orange like little suns. Mini mushrooms peek through the soil, and between them rest bark-roof fairy houses with pebble windows, simple, charming shelters that seem to belong in tales whispered at twilight. One fence leans slightly. A plastic segment holds traces of the label it used to wear. And that's the heart of it. Nothing here is flawless, but everything is loved. The imperfect becomes delightful when touched by care. If you try this yourself, you don't need perfect tools or expensive supplies. Just a handful of bottles, a bit of paint, scissors, wire for support, and your own sense of childhood curiosity. Work slowly. Let the materials guide you. Paint outside when the breeze is soft. Involve your kids, your parents, or just your own memories. In a world full of noise, this little garden sings softly. It says, you can still make beauty from what others leave behind. And maybe, just maybe, your backyard will be the place where wonder returns. Let your garden dream. There's something profoundly gentle about giving an object a second chance. And here, in the corner of a quiet backyard, old boots that once marched through mud and toil have bloomed into storytellers. They no longer tread paths, but grow them. On the gate, where wooden planks meet the open sky, a pair of retired gardening boots now cradle rosemary and lavender, their upright stems rising like proud messengers. One black, one ivory, unmatched yet harmoniously worn, each supports a red and white funnel perched above like a quirky cap, transforming them into whimsical garden letterboxes. There's a tiny rolled-up scroll peeking from one, as if someone left behind a secret poem for the daisies below. Just beyond, beside a stone pillar, a cracked leather boot bursts with calendula and mint. It sits with a kind of quiet dignity, its creased skin weathered but honest. A funnel, slightly rusted, leans above it like a playful crown, and a bird, a fleeting visitor, rests atop for only a moment. Even a small snail has found company near the toe. It's a world built from patience, where forgotten things take root. And by the narrow gate, another rubber boot blooms bright with pink verbena and soft dianthus, cascading as if writing a floral letter to passers-by. A wooden sign nearby reads, "Letters and leaves," as if the garden itself has learned to speak. If you're thinking of trying this at home, start with a boot that's seen better days. Fill it with soil, tuck in your favorite herbs or blooms, and don't worry about perfection. Let the rust show. Let the cracks speak. Add a funnel on top, or a tin can, a tea strainer, anything that casts a little charm. Because sometimes, the best garden decor doesn't come from a catalog, it comes from your closet, your stories, your hands. And in that act, you're not just planting flowers. You're planting delight.